Hello everyone, you are on the second video today. My name is Jimmy, and we are already starting. Story 1 from user Old Gold Mountain. Communication is the foundation upon which everything else is built. They say, don't go to bed angry, not because anger does something while you're sleeping, but because it means you didn't communicate properly, and you're giving up on trying. Be calm, actively listen. Do not dismiss your partner's statements. Assume good faith. It's you and me versus the problem, not me versus you. If something's bugging you, talk to your so about it. If you feel enraged about something, wait until you're well-fed, well-rested, with warm extremities before talking about it, but talk about it at the first opportunity. Calmly, rationally, and honestly. Keep the discussion limited to that one narrow thing. If something's bugging your so, hear them out. Never think, well, I'm not bothered by that, so it's not a problem. Think, my so is bothered by this, and that's a problem. If you think the concern is unreasonable, frame the discussion as solving the problem of your so is being unhappy. The worst fights and arguments happen over trivial things, because it's not the trivial thing that's actually causing the problem. It's probably a series of things, or a general lack of satisfaction, and the toothpaste cap being left off is just the instigator of the fight. If you communicate often and openly, these things will not fester, they won't pile up, and you won't get into such fights. Story 2 from user Skinny Beans. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. If they're mean, if they're vindictive, if they use you, if they show you that they don't really care about you, believe them. If they make you feel inadequate, on edge, scared, nervous, unworthy, or like a disappointment, believe them. If they're entitled, narcissistic, sociopathic, manipulative, or unfair, believe them. Life isn't a movie. You can't fix people who don't want to be fixed. More often than not, they just are who they are. So, take off the rose-colored glasses and stop thinking love will find a way. If it isn't working, change it. Don't spend your precious time lamenting over a person who wouldn't genuinely lament over you. This sounds bleak, I know, but relationships and love are supposed to be the most beautiful thing in the universe. If your relationship is not improving your quality of life on the aggregate, you need to seriously reassess what you want in life, because you deserve better. You only get so much time to find people in your life that make it worth living. Don't get caught up on people who will make you wished you never lived it. Story 3 from user Jack's writing. Probably not gonna get this right, but it hit me the hardest after spending 5 years in a toxic relationship. The idea that everyone in their lives is working towards creating a jigsaw. Each part of their life, be it work, relationships, or hobbies, make up parts of the jigsaw. Everyone's is different. Some people's careers make up the edges, the less important and interesting parts. Some people's are their relationships. What's important is the center of the puzzle. That's what people are working towards. Their lives' goals. When you're in a relationship, your puzzles combine. You eventually start working towards a share goal. You might make some compromises on what goes to the outer edges, but you should both be working towards the same center. Occasionally, it turns out that the centerpiece you were working towards with your SO isn't what you thought it was. This bad, and believe me, it really does. But there's nothing wrong with cutting your loses. If you're going for a different jigsaw and the pieces don't fit, you won't get a coherent picture. I hope I explained it right. And yes, it has been taken from Daniel Sloss. He puts it way better than I do. So I would recommend checking him out on Netflix. Story 4 from user Doublestitch. Character is action. Deep character is how a person behaves under stress. An instructor told me this in a writing seminar, but it's a great real-life observation about relationships. If you have someone who keeps focused and cool under pressure, value that individual. It's a magnificent character trait. If you're together with someone who rages at minor inconveniences and finds scapegoats instead of solutions, that's a person of weak character. Most of us are somewhere in between those two extremes. We can get better at it with effort. Yet, just because you work on building your character doesn't necessarily mean your so will make the same journey. A partner with especially bad character will take that effort for granted. It will never be enough. You could walk on eggshells all week, but then someone cuts them off at an intersection and you have to endure their curses. But I'm not yelling at you, they think is a good enough excuse. They're still being terrible company. Most people with weak character know how to keep focused and cool under pressure. They choose the situations where they can get away with venting. They'll work on improvement for a little while, but they'll always relapse and usually get worse. And they would rather get the upper hand than solve problems. It's easy to take a person with good character for granted, because what they do seems effortless. Part of what they achieve is emotional maturity, but part of it takes real effort. All relationships take effort. Some are worth the effort and some are not. Figure out whether there's enough strength of character on both sides to be worth the effort you put in. Story 5 from user Megili14. In random order, and not necessarily related to one another. An ex is an ex for a reason. Coming back to someone is likely to repeat the same issues that you had the first time, unless you've both done a significant amount of growing, maturing. Do not waste your time repeating the same cycle over and over. Your lesson has been taught, you've completed the course. It's silly to pay to take it again. Date yourself. Be comfortable being single. It allows you time to work on yourself. Therapy is gold, and I wish more people would bite the bullet and go. Time to get to know yourself, and time to examine what your goals and wishes are. It's okay to be single and around. Don't ever let anyone shame you for getting laid, but have some respect for yourself, and don't trust someone you don't know to handle all the responsibilities of birth control. But keep in mind, you should do regular STD screenings if that's your choice. Relationships, marriages, partnerships require work, communication, trust, and honesty. When you shut down, you can't expect everything to run smoothly. You may need time to yourself, that's fine. But communicate that before you bug off, disappear, turn off your phone. Both of you need to be able to communicate effectively and speak each other's languages, or you're doomed. SOs are not pets. You can't just live together, be best friends, and not speak the same language at all. No one should be dependent on their partner for anything. It's great that she generally handles all the laundry, or that he budgets well and pays all the bills. But you need to know how to do those things too. If you find yourself in a situation where you've tried and failed at the marriage relationship bit, it's okay to recognize that it's done. If offspring have appeared during that time, they're sneaky and can pop up at the most inopportune times. You've signed yourself up for roughly 18 years of this person, whether you like it or not. I would never say to stay in a marriage relationship because of kids. I've watched it happen and it's miserable for all parties. But co-parenting is now your new team sport. Whatever your personal feelings on your partner, their relationship with your shared offspring is independent of that. A bad spouse-talked partner does not equal a bad parent. Always keep your children's happiness in the forefront and be civil, even if they aren't. It sucks, but it's worth it in the end. Story 6 from user deleted. A relationship is doomed to fail if it isn't built on a strong foundation. Many people end up in relationships because they're lonely, because they want to be socially accepted, because they're making up for their parents not being there, because they are filling a void. The list goes on. I'm currently in a relationship that started with me fathering this woman. I was shelter, I was protection, I was always there, and always encouraging, and always providing her with an escape from her terribly abusive family. It felt good to have a damsel as a man, and I subconsciously wanted to be a father to someone because my own father left when I was 5. This has made it impossible for me to become a partner. No matter what I do, I cannot be perceived as an equal anymore. Me being an escape all the time has ruined this relationship, because now that I need help with things in my life and can't give a 100% anymore, it's seen as, he doesn't love me. And if you're a parent to your partner, eventually your partner will not need parenting anymore. Just when you think you've raised them up high enough to where your dreams of a happy relationship can finally be real, they will fly away, just like you did with your own parents. You didn't need them anymore, so you left. But relationships aren't about needing. You should never need anyone. I thought was doing good was actually enabling. I festered her fears of abandonment for years without realizing. Now we're at a crossroads and trying to decide what to do. Since we only know how to escape to one another, we have no idea how to love. Keep this in mind, people. This only ends in 2 ways, one much more likely than the other. both parties can make the tremendous effort to be reborn and learn to love each other again, committing the relationship to something higher than itself. Or you will wither and die. I'm hoping for the former. Before you jump into anything, look in the mirror, give yourself a good shakedown, and ask, what am I doing and why am I doing it? And be as honest as humanly possible. Wasted years are something you can never get back. Time is the most valuable thing you have. You want a partner in crime, a true friend. Remember, your spouse has to be your best friend. Friendship comes first, lovey-dovey trash comes later. Story 7 from user Zubrikan. I've never been in a relationship, but my buddy came to me and asked me to just say something, even if it wasn't helpful. The situation was, he was conflicted about the longevity of his relationship. My questionable advice was, don't sacrifice your happiness for anyone else. Anyone. However, it doesn't apply for things like, for example, if your so was in a car accident and needs help so you can't do things you want. It was more like if they don't like you acting or doing a certain thing, then don't change just for the sake of someone else. And for the longevity, I said, make a list of goals you'd like to accomplish in 20 years. I say 20 years because we are both early 20s, and he was telling me about how he wanted to marry her 6 months ago. So I said 20 years to finish college and be married for quite a while. Then review that list and ask yourself if she would help you accomplish those goals or be an obstacle for those goals. That's the best I could do because I've never been in a relationship, but it was off the top of my head, and I think it's pretty good. Story 8 from user Dracanis above. A real relationship doesn't begin until you know each other properly. Don't have unprotected sleep with them for the first few months or so. Don't get joint bank accounts or jointly purchase things. Don't invest in the relationship until you know each other. That doesn't mean play around or don't be serious. 99% of the time, you both need to be monogamous with each other from day one. Once you've been together a few months and have met friends and family and spent significant amounts of time together, then you should have an idea of the person that you're with. At this point, you need to decide if you want to spend your life with them. Do not stay in a relationship with the mentality that you can leave at any time. This will just lead you to feel that you can do what you want, which will then make your partner feel disrespected. If you're in a relationship that you don't want to stay in forever, why bother? Why not find one you do want to stay in? Why not just find someone to have casual sleep with instead? Because what happens is, one partner will attach, and the other will think, I can just leave any time. This leads to a rift, which leads to relationship problems. And newsflash, when you have a baby together, or joint finances, or your partner has strong relationships with your family, friends, you can't just leave any time. You've become too entangled, and breaking up is going to be super messy. If you don't think you want to stay with someone, don't get yourself into that mess in the first place. A relationship should be viewed as a permanent thing, and not gotten into or taken lightly. Be serious, or don't around with people who are serious. Story 9 from user deleted. I'm getting married in a couple of weeks to my partner of 5 years. I think it's this. Love is a verb. It's something you have to do, and have to choose to do. Even when they've really stuffed up. Even when you're tired and grumpy. If you can't relax and be yourself around each other, you might not work out. Sure, keep a bit of romance alive, but at some point, you're going to clean up each other's spew. My partner and I are very different people in our tastes. She loves sport. I hate it. I love camping. She won't go below a 3-star hotel. But we have a similar sense of humor, shared values, and largely shared pet hates. To work as a couple, you need a shared vision and goal. If one of you wants to save to buy a house, but the other wants to focus on traveling, or if you have different opinions on having kids, then you could be headed for trouble. It can be awkward to have those conversations, but it's important to know where you stand with each other. Thanks to everyone who was here today. See you tomorrow on new topics. Bye-bye.